absolutely explosive news.
FBI Director James Comey has been fired.
He was fired by President Trump, who reportedly called him a nut job. Now the former FBI Director James Comey will be answering questions at what's being billed a blockbuster Senate hearing. Will this be a case of a disgruntled ex-employee spilling the beans? And what questions will the senators be asking him?
And we're going to follow the facts. And every one of us, Democrat and Republican, realize this is one of the most important things we'll ever do.
So what are the three things that you need to know? Well, you may remember James Comey from last year's election. He's the man who was investigating Hillary Clinton's emails. And up until a few months ago, Donald Trump only had praise for him.
He's become more famous than me.
He was appointed as director of the FBI by Barack Obama, but James Comey only served 4 years out of a 10-year term. One of the things he was working on was the investigation into whether the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians during the election. Which brings us to point 2, the Russian connection.
The FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election.
At first, the White House said it fired James Comey based on a recommendation from the Justice Department, which said that Comey had lost the trust of the public. But a few days later, the president spoke.
But regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey. And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
Then came reports that the president had said that firing Comey had taken great pressure off him. What did that mean? And what connections were there between his campaign and the Russians? Those are some of the questions that the senators grilling him will want to know more about.
On the issue of collaboration or collusion, what has he seen? What initial judgments has he made?
Which brings us to point 3. What contact did James Comey have with President Trump? Well, since he fired him, President Trump has said that he was told by Mr. Comey that he wasn't being investigated as part of the Russia inquiry. The president says that he was told that on 3 separate occasions, including once at dinner.
I said, if it's possible, would you let me know, am I under investigation? He said, you are not under investigation.
That phrase raises a lot of questions in my mind. Does Mr. Comey agree that that is what was said? Why would he tell the president that?
But did the president go even further? Friends of James Comey say that in a memo he'd written down that he was told by the president to back off from investigating the Trump campaign's ties with Russia. That's, of course, something that President Trump denies. So one of the main things that people will be watching for in this Senate hearing is whether or not James Comey will go on the record and say that President Trump did tell him to back off from that Russia investigation. If he does, then could the president be found to have obstructed justice?
Democrats could see this as helping make their case that Donald Trump should be impeached and removed from office. Republicans, on the other hand, are going to be in a tricky situation.
Obviously, Republicans ought to be concerned.
They're going to have to side with their president over the word of a man who has impeccable Republican credentials, worked in a Republican administration.
It's pretty clear I have more confidence in Director Comey.
Senate hearings don't usually attract a huge amount of attention, but James Comey's testimony has Washington buzzing with anticipation. In essence, it all comes down to one thing. Will James Comey stick the knife in his former boss, Donald Trump?